What's better than watching indie animation? Playing it. No, I don't mean stuff like glitch carts, though I guess that counts too. No, rather I'm talking about the indie art-based game IPs. You get stuff like Pizza Tower, Friday Night Funkin', and the upcoming Home Paige 3D platformer. I first saw this crop up on my timeline while doom scrolling, and after seeing it, Paige lifted up my spirits. Then I saw people making fun of the cost, so I get to talk about a cool project and go into production stuff, which is always interesting to me. Hello, I'm Dovin, and I was given this extremely large statue of Home Paige's character, Paige, and I was able to ask some questions from the team. So maybe I'll be a little biased and talk about the project. Also, don't expect this thing to be animated because it's not in the budget, and don't expect that to be a fake out, but pay attention anyway to the video while you're eating drawing. Man, I wish Samantha was here to see a statue, because damn, where the hell am I going to put it? Home Paige is a Kickstarter that by the time you've seen this video, you've already missed. But maybe the game's already out when you're watching, and the algorithm pushed this video to you in the future? So comment below if the game turned out to be good, did whatever else thoughts you have. But back to the now, which is your past. Home Paige is a momentum-based 3D platformer set inside a 90s operating system. They describe it as Sonic Robo Blast 2, with the influence of Mario Galaxy, Robot 64, and Astrobot. One of these games was made in the Doom engine and the other Roblox. This is pretty cool, right? Anyway, Paige lives in a recycling bin on a PC, and you get to meet a lot of NPCs and such in a world inspired by the old internets and Wii era design. To go forward a bit early for like the money stuff, I think this was like crack to people, because while the goal was only 18,000 USD, it had over 100,000 USD, like good god damn. Besides the visuals and the gameplay, it was a star-studded cast of voice actors. Nola Klam, Michael Kovac, Alana Fitzgerald, Corey Wilder, as well as Ramona Honeyloon, part of the game. I mentioned this in one of my previous videos as like a little joke, but if you put Michael in anything, then that alone would get people talking about it. And they have. A benefit the Kickstarter has is the fact you can actually play the movement demo, like right now. Originally on itch.io, not on Steam, I played the demo in full, which you can see on screen. You can see some of the gameplay. And unless stated otherwise, it's just gonna be like the stuff that I recorded. And even all the times I died, because, oops. Part of what caught my eye for this production is the fact they're wanting to branch out into other mediums of the characters. Mentioned on the Kickstarter, they want to do animation and other mediums, which is a little nice tease for the future of the world. Opted for indie Kickstarters, like pilots, you kind of wonder where the team would take the show. So I'm glad to have some solace knowing they want to create more after this. I mean, obviously they will, because it's chapter 1, there's probably gonna be more chapters after that, but I mean, like, where else to take the IP? Top of the budgeting, the rewards and stretch goals are pretty understandable. If you didn't know, Kickstarter takes a percentage of the cut that you make. On top of that, you have to pay taxes on the money you get. I've never seen one indie Kickstarter I saw that didn't seem to prepare for that, so they had to pay out of pocket for extra expenses. So in budgeting, you must know your limits, the scope, and what you must cover for big projects like this. Because I think Kickstarter is a great way to fund projects, but you have to be prepared for the hidden costs. A lot of the rewards are digital, such as the exclusive skin, digital art book, and even getting designed in NPC. While the physical rewards are stuff like pins, sticker sheets, and even keychains. Vogue Race was a choice for the acrylic products, and enamel pins are going to be a different company, and posters are printed locally. As a side, I was going to mention Vogue Race anyway, because the people I work for use it, and yeah, it's pretty cool, not sponsored. Circling back to the stretch goals, they reached 100,000 USD, meaning they get to work with their artist Snaptic, have playable mini games, a 2D intro by Fliflio, bonus challenge levels, a secret boss, Mac and Linux ports, guest musical number, OSMA menu customization, expand animation in a mysterious level. The thing to keep in mind to these prices is the fact that they expand upon the chapter rather than stretching it out. Like, instead of having just like a goal that says fun chapter 2, like, come on, man. For things like the Mac and Linux ports, that will take some time to make sure they work on their respective platforms. macOS for the specific non-x86 silicon, and for Linux, like SteamOS would be the priority, but their current plan is to have a native Linux build rather than relying on the translation layer Proton. So you'd be able to play it on your Steam Deck, or Steam Frame, or the new Steam Machine. Ooh. Also for expanded animation, it's kind of a light misnomer. In update, they clarified it means more animated cutscenes, NPC interactions, and other fun moments. I specifically mentioned this as there's a post made October 23rd, 2025, where they mentioned 90,000 for dialogue portraits. With tweets making fun of the cost, such as one with the kid asking to buy Undertale, as well as Twitter user Nova Skies and replies to the initial tweet asking about the cost. Studio head Fire FM replied to Nova Thread, saying, quote, "The 10K jump goes towards the development of the game, not a budget for the goal. It's an incentive. We got funded in 47 minutes and expected we could maybe get funded in 2 to 3 weeks, and had to scramble to figure out stretch goals. We've already replaced this goal 2 days ago as well." They continue to say that. It's also worth mentioning the dialogue portraits, yet again scrapped, would have cost a few thousand to produce. There are a lot of characters and NPCs in the game, and it wasn't something planned for the original scope. We'd have had to pay an artist well for such workload. One post I saw was featuring the infamous FNF stretch goal, which oh wow, I just remember that the game hasn't released yet. Wouldn't it be funny if Home Paige came out before this? No, just me? Okay. Anyway, the concept development is to make sure everyone, even the creator, can focus on bringing the project to life with low distractions or need for extra money to keep it afloat. With this goal, they're able to sustain the artists they brought on without worrying about dipping into the studio head's pockets. Luckily, if the core team consisting of 10 people and extra hands for contract work, the 100,000 should hopefully be enough. I say that not like as a pessimist, it's like, oh, I hope we should have, but rather it's just like, I don't know, things happen, sometimes people get sick or drop out for whatever reason. To get into the analytical side for seconds, the game has great SEO, or search engine optimization, meaning when you type into Google, it's the first thing that shows up. Not only that, but also typing into YouTube, you see a lot of good results. In my video about Loki IRL, an indie project I wrote for, I talked about how people talking about stuff you make is very good. Kind of a silly thing to say, but what do I mean by that? It was more so getting interest in the project outside people initially paying for it. The Kickstarter just released and demo out. I have seen a handful of videos doing walkthroughs and even speedrunning the game in less than 2 minutes. Like, ooh, wow. On top of that, I even saw a fan animation of the character as well. So I would say there is initial hype around the game and IP as a whole, which is great to see. On the YouTube page, the Kickstarter trails nearly around 200,000 views, with subsequent videos being released to keep the page active. An important thing to note is that they have a link tree that houses all the important links on each social media to make sure that people know what the official pages are. Though as an aside, I hope that someday they make a website for the studio. You can show off a little more of the team as well as the other projects they have in the future, or projects they have done. I have a very simple card that shows off who works on my videos in case you want to hire them. Actually, someone specifically reached out to my 3D background artist Mangoso because they saw it on my card, so it's pretty cool. Speaking of talent behind the studio, the main head would be that of Fire FM, with who I've known for quite a bit of time. You may have known them for the previous Studio Fire productions that animated This Is What Heartbreak Feels Like by CG5 and Jake, as well as Guards to the Bam Rap by Axie and Code AM. However, Fire Productions would move to Minimum Studios for their future works. In the Kickstarter, they do have a link tree to all the social medias, which is very nice to see. But as a very tiny nitpick, I probably would have preferred them showing off their own works and maybe some people who work on the team at on the campaign section, to have your best foot forward and show off all the cool people that are working on the project. Such as Didius Lowell, the lead programmer, has worked for WDR Studios and has game experience in the belts of Super FNF World, as well as Terrible Lizards. You've probably already noticed, but I do like talking about behind the scenes stuff and learning more about how things are made and little facts here and there you can tell people, such as this game being built in Unreal 5 engine. I find indie games like this interesting. It's essentially a playable indie cartoon, but the main difference is the average person is willing to pay money to see it. Alright, I don't mean like a Patreon or even a Kickstarter, but giving money once to pay for it and then you just have the thing. On top of that, what made me interested in talking about the topic is the fact that behind it are looking to further monetize and cash in on the IP. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I've often talked with artists about projects, and with the aspect of how earn money or earn money back, it's often lack of direct ideas outside of, I don't know, just Patreon, I guess. Because let me tell you, ad revenue on YouTube is very bad for cartoons, so any way to monetize outside of that is to the artist's benefit. So just as mentioned before, if Home Paige is even, I don't know, $5 in Steam, that is bringing in more money than it would have made if it was a traditional cartoon on YouTube. Such as the case of Ina Dream Barbecue, but in reverse actually, as that was originally a cartoon that is now getting paid chapter releases on Steam, which is a cool way to experience an indie cartoon while also helping out the artists and developers behind it. Alright, actually for chapter 1, it's free unless you pay $10 for extra stuff, but subsequent chapters will cost money. To see that for Home Paige they're planning for future things for the IP makes me more confident in the ability to take the project further than I've seen others go before them. To create art while also getting paid for their hard work is the dream of any creator, and to have more viable options such as game creation to open up doors for artists to try out new mediums is also fun to see. Not saying that you specifically have to make a 3D platformer, of course. I mean, stuff like visual novels and the like are also nice ways to create stuff for your VLCs. Perhaps it is the hope in me, seeing projects like this, that it may inspire people like you watching the video to not only create your own works, but also try other avenues to create your characters. So for Fire and their team, it's always inspiring to see what others are doing with new mediums. The Home Paige Kickstarter would conclude on November 20th, 2025. They'd reached 3,259 backers, along with raising 127,993 USD, meaning they hit one more final stretch goal, having localization subtitles for Japan, Russia, Spanish, Portuguese, and maybe others. However, the last Switch goal they not reach would be that of a Switch port. I think a Switch port would have been nice, but also kind of a phew moment for the developers, because it's like one less thing to work on, one less thing to bug test, and one less thing to worry about in general. Also, they could always just make a Switch port later whenever the second chapter is done, whenever that comes out. I don't know, it could be fun. Oh, I almost forgot to specify, but the project was fully funded in less than an hour. Crazy work. But let me get out of my head for a little bit and see what my audience said when I asked them about this. I like it. Art style really lends itself to a indie production without feeling cheap while sticking to the art style of the time period. Looking forward to all the Yuri art. I love the old internet video game vibes. The soundtrack an idea, but what I've seen looks so good. Paige is also just so cute. Looks like a fun concept with a appealing art style. I'm all for it. Perhaps if there's anything you should take away from this video, or rather any things, is that there are many ways to create with your characters. On top of that, knowing what you're capable of as well as the budget you'll need will go a long way. For Fire and her team, they respectively have done 3D art before this Kickstarter, as well as video games, so their experience in prior works made it easier to go into the fundraiser, be more confident with what they're capable of doing. I will mention to you, of course, never rush into a Kickstarter or even to try and catch something to hype. I've seen it happen where someone goes in way too fast and now they're under deliver, delay a lot, or have to pay out of pockets because they didn't properly budget correctly, or they're unfamiliar in the process of making certain projects that they're trying to get into. And of course, remembering the fact that Kickstarter takes a cut and you should always pay your taxes. It's good to pay your taxes. Anyway, outside of like the IRS and stuff like that, even if I didn't know Fire, I would still have some hopium and be pretty optimistic for the direction of release of this game. The fact that despite exceeding their budgets, they weren't like, oh, all the chapter 2 or 3 are funded. No, they're just focusing on chapter 1 to make it the best it can be, to not give external weight on the shoulders that they cannot withstand. And the delay parts I mentioned before, sometimes you can promise too much and further delay the game. Not out of monetary issues, but because you promised so much goddamn shit in one thing. I would say this is probably the best 3D platformer demo I've tried out this year. The second actually being Bubsy 4D, 2 games I very much look forward to releasing. I got a lot of fun running and rolling around in that game. Anyway, to close out this video, be sure to follow the development of Home Paige, go try out the demo, and come back to this video when Chapter 1 releases. I can't wait to make a follow-up video when it's out, and until next time, keep on drawing, creating, and have a great day.